glitch has once again blessed us with a new Amazing Digital Circus episode, and between Pixar's Elio or this, I think it was the right decision to let Elio get abducted and not care to search for him, even though it was a good movie. Seems like out of all the good character moments this episode had, the
sex appeal,
as Bubble would say, was the one to make me want to make this video about Jax. The internet, as usual, has been freaking out over all the new development we have on all of our favorite characters. But as usual, instead of putting out my video one day after the release of the episode, I needed to take a step back and analyze it for my own and not let the outside world of YouTube monetization get to my head and release a video that is frankly half-baked and generic. And as you could tell from the thumbnail and title, you know what I'm getting at, but just to say it out loud, my entire perspective of Jax changed during this one scene. A scene, as you can see, is not chaotic whatsoever, but instead, it's one of the most relaxing portions of the entire show and drew me to the conclusion that Jax is not broken, he's grieving. I'll get into the difference a little later, but my research for a video I did on Sonic 3 5 months ago has come back in handy during my viewing of episode 5, and in order to understand my analysis, everyone should know that the 5 stages of grief consists of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, and that when people grieve, they grieve in different ways. For example, not everyone goes through the 5 stages of grief in the same order as shown, and sometimes they will completely skip over certain stages, and all of this is healthy, but this diagram is what the average person goes through, but doesn't mean there is an expectation to what people feel, since grief is an individually felt feeling. With that all out of the way, let's talk about Jax's position in all of this. Let's go back to when I said that a specific scene helped me understand Jax even more than I originally thought. During the stargazing section of their adventure, Pomni questions Jax if he has any friends, and Ragatha answers for him by saying this. Due to Jax's visually infuriated response, it makes Ragatha backtrack, something she'll apologize for later in the episode, but we're not there yet. If it isn't obvious already, Jax lost someone at some point before Pomni arrived, but who exactly could this be, and why did it make Jax so angry for a moment? Well, before I show you who Jax lost, because I have proof who it is, he honestly doesn't have the best track record with kindness, because what he calls a good laugh, most others would call a tragedy. As I mentioned earlier, anger is a stage in the 5 stages of grief, which makes some of Jax's actions not acceptable but understandable. This is because, as the German word Schadenfreude means, Jax is experiencing happiness at the misfortune of others to help him cope with his own misfortune. Although it sounds absurd to think that people in pain sometimes like to see others in pain, it's actually something people use to cope, just so they can feel like they're not alone, or at least I'm not that guy. Although here's a problem. Jax's anger during the scene isn't lashing out full-on murdering Ragatha or anything, but it's more of a trigger for Jax to lose his temper. This makes me believe that Jax is actually caught in between the stages of anger and depression, as he gets joy from others' suffering to cope, while also being easily triggered because of how emotional he still is about the situation. To tie back to what Pomni said as well, she asks if he has any real friends, and although Jax never got to answer, it's pretty clear to say that Jax's only friend was the one who is gone, and now he's left to fend for himself because everyone views him as evil and will never give him a chance, well, except for Pomni. Pomni's additional help in this episode actually helps flesh out Jax to the audience by the end of the episode, but it also reveals a conflict between Jax and Ragatha that hasn't really been seen before, where each of them want Pomni to like them more than the other to make the other jealous. This is seen in the bar they go to where Jax and Ragatha go at each other, and also seen during the final adventure they go on in the episode. During the bar scene, they randomly break out into trying to make the other look bad and make themselves look better than the other, and I think it's obvious Ragatha and Jax have a history, and it all leads back to 2 moments: Zooble sliding a piece of corn over to Jax, and Ragatha calling herself a farm girl. As stated by Gooseworks when asked, why is Jax afraid of corn, she responds, it reminds him of the farm. So it's a small but crucial moment that Jax reacts to Ragatha saying that she was a farm girl, and sometimes farms grow corn, which is something Jax is afraid of. Did Jax and Ragatha know each other on the outside? Did they date? Why is Jax specifically afraid of corn? How did Zooble know this? Is this all a coincidence? What exactly happened at the farm? Why did Bubble refer to himself as Daddy Bubble? Well, honestly, we don't really know any of these answers yet, but it's something that when I make a video about Ragatha eventually, I'm sure we're going to be revisiting this moment, pointing out how obvious it was and how at the time we were all so stupid for not seeing it. What I'd recommend is to keep this in mind for later, and how Ragatha and Jax treat each other compared to the other characters. Now, before I reveal who exactly Jax lost, let's take a look at Jax and Pomni's talk and how it will affect the future of the show. Well, that's the thing. We don't actually get to hear it. We see that Jax and Pomni do talk, but you can't make out anything they say, but it's most likely about Jax's backstory, the farm, and this mysterious character Jax lost, which so happens to have been revealed during this one scene. During the intermission, at the very last scene, we see Jax run by a room before turning back and staring at it, and what do you know? A door with a character we've never seen before with an X through it. Jax didn't care when Kaufmo abstracted, but the fact Jax had to double take on the face he saw on that door leads me to almost 100% guarantee that this frog character was the person Jax lost that set him on the path of being the psychopathic terrorist in the digital circus. It's clear that this is only a hint at the bigger picture, and due to them leaving the whole bigger picture conversation out of the episode, it's clear that we still need to learn more about the surroundings of Jax's past before we can fully understand the conversation and what Jax had to show Pomni at the end of the episode. But if it's up to me to guess, the missing piece will be Ragatha, and how she ties into Jax's past, which will help us understand why Jax and Ragatha tried to make each other jealous and how it makes each of them hate each other more than anyone else. So if this isn't your first Jax video essay you've seen today, a lot of people I've seen online have been saying that he's a misunderstood character because he's broken emotionally. And although I can see how someone would come to that conclusion, they are missing the crucial difference between being broken and grieving, and believe me, there is a slight difference that makes a big deal. When someone is emotionally broken, they can't be like Jax, who still visibly gets happy and entertained by other people's misfortune. When you're feeling broken, it's hard to be cheered up with anything because you're basically saying that your entire feelings have been shattered and feel irreparable no matter what. Grieving is something that comes in phases to different degrees in severity. This means that someone could be grieving someone or something, but is able to still have a good time at a party or during a conversation. They can be grieving while also having a good moment. If Jax was broken, that would be implying that he doesn't actually gain any joy from his mayhem, which is contradictory to every single other episode in the show, and honestly is dead wrong. I know it's a small thing to be ranting about, but some people don't know how grief and feeling broken are different, but I hope I just cleared it up for you. I'm sure there will be a part 2 to this video. I feel like we're going down that route because there is so much I will have to look at as the next couple episodes trickle little bits of character development for Jax. So I promise eventually I will make a video on Ragatha too, but I think as of right now, there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but not enough to solve it. So I will withhold on her until later because Squid Game is coming back and I can't wait to talk about that. With that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.